has the high drama high seas resulted in a diplomatic win for India? 4 days after guards on an Italian ship killed 2 Indian fishermen off Kochi, the 2 suspects, both Italian Marines, are finally in police custody. All this after India took a tough stand on the issue and told Italy the ship's crew will just have to cooperate.
After 4 days in a near diplomatic row between India and Italy, the security guards on board the Italian ship Enrica Lexi, who shot dead 2 Indian fishermen, taken into custody. Outrage over the killing soon mirrored itself across India, and the government stepped in with some tough talk to get justice for the families of the 2 men.
Case അന്വേഷിക്കുന്നത് കൊല്ലം പോലീസാണ്. അപ്പോൾ കേസ് അന്വേഷണം എവിടെയാണോ കേസ് രജിസ്റ്റർ ചെയ്ത പോലീസ് സ്റ്റേഷന്റെ പരിധിയിലുള്ള കോടതിയിലാണ് കേസ് ട്രൈ ചെയ്യുന്നത്.
After 4 days of high drama, the 2 Italian Navy personnel suspected to have shot and killed 2 Indian fishermen are finally in police custody. They will be produced in Kollam, and the Kollam police will be interrogating them and then producing them before a court of law.
This after attempts by Italy to avert action against their men failed.
We have advised the Italian authorities that they should fully cooperate with the law enforcement agencies in Kerala so that an amicable settlement can be arrived at.
India talked tough with the Italian delegates for more than 3 hours to put all the necessary pressure. Italian delegates from the Department of Law, Justice, Defence and Foreign Affairs were here to meet their Indian counterparts. They gave their side of the story, and we are told they were constantly in touch with Rome. But India did not budge, did not bow down, and made it very clear that law of the land has to be followed. Government sources have told NDTV the Italians tried for a concession from the Indian government, arguing that the men accused of murder are Marines. But India stuck to its stand, saying the only defence is self-defence.
We will report back to our capital. Communicate will be surely.
The men have been charged with murder, and the action that follows will be very closely watched. With Sovi Vidyadharan in Kerala, in New Delhi, Anshul Vora, NDTV.
And that's, of course, our big discussion on India this week. Tonight, joining us, Commodore C. Uday Bhaskar, former director of the National Maritime Foundation. Also with us, Agostino Moriello, the South Asia Bureau Chief of Rai Radio Television Italiana. And I spoke earlier with Ajit Kumar, the Police Commissioner of Kochi. Mr. Ajit Kumar, sir, if I could just start by asking you, they were, of course, meant to surrender at 8 in the morning. Just what took so long is what so many of us really want to know.
See, we went to the ship by 8 a.m. today morning for starting the investigation and continuing the process which has been going on for last 2-3 days. So at the process of the investigation, we have to take the statements of the captain first. Only based on the statements given by the captain, we can carry out further investigation. So it took almost 3 to 4 hours to take the statement of the captain, because we have to communicate in various languages, translate and all these things. The statement was, the process of taking the statement of the captain itself took almost 4.5 hours, and was over by around 3:15. And by around 3:45 we were able to get the persons who are suspected to be involved in this incident, and we have brought them to the land by almost by 4 p.m. today.
That's, of course, Mr. Ajit Kumar speaking to us earlier. I also asked him if there was any resistance when his men went on board.
No, there was no resistance at all. For the last 3-4 days, they have been cooperating very well. The only issue was that since the Consul Generals were present, they were probably seeking further directions and guidance from their counterparts in the Delhi and in their own country.
Right. Also, some say the Italians were acting tough. It took considerable pressure from India. Is that your sense as well?
In fact, it is not correct. In fact, our position was clear right from day one itself, and know that this is our position. It's only the process of communication was going from their point to New Delhi and to Italy and subsequently to various places. It's just a normal delay which occurred for such a long communication and for the process of investigation.
Right, Mr. Ajit Kumar there speaking to us earlier. Thanks very much for joining us. That's, of course, the head of the police team that finally took those men into custody. A quick clarification here, they haven't been arrested just yet, but have been taken into custody. They're not in a prison, but in fact at a guest house. Let's get started right away with Commodore Uday Bhaskar. How do you see these developments of the last couple of days, actually basically since yesterday when we heard the foreign minister really talking tough for a change? Do you see this as a diplomatic win for him?
Well, I would not really pitch this as a diplomatic issue between India and Italy because what really took place, it's either an accident or it's a deliberate act where 2 Indian fishermen have been killed. And to that extent, I think it would be appropriate to look at this in a legal dimension, which is what has occurred today with the Kochi police being able to get these 2 people and put them in the custody. But to suggest that this is a major diplomatic victory for India, I think would be a case of, I would say, perhaps misrepresenting the issue itself, because this is not between India and Italy. This is an issue about the way in which maritime commerce and the anxiety about piracy is manifesting itself. And the slight complex point here is that the 2 Italian commandos or the security guards, as they are being called, are part of the Italian military. Because Italy and France, for instance, are 2 countries where the armed guards are provided by the government. They are not private security in that sense. But yet there are certain protocols that the international maritime community has adopted. So unless it is self-defense, there is no justification. I think that is the critical point.
And that
why did they open fire?
That really was India's point as well, that the only defense really being self-defense.
NDTV's cricket app, Android and iPhone, fastest scorecard, special analysis, and much more. Download free. ndtv.com/apps.